Hello, Jax West, not related to the family, just a supporter. And it is Sunday, October 27th. And I have Jeff just got called in for a side job. So we're running a haunted house right now, and that's why I've just been so unbelievably busy as of late. So we don't have to be to the haunted house until 7 o'clock tonight. And now he was called away side job. So I was getting a few stuff done around here, and I'm like, all right, I'll hop on and see if there's anybody around on a Sunday afternoon, and if there was anything you wanted to chat about. And if in the next 15 minutes we don't really get anybody on, then I'll just end this and probably go lay like a slug on the couch until Jeff comes home and we go work the haunted house tonight. I guess until then, I will just chat randomly. I did go and visit both Melissa and Marnie on Wednesday. Marnie wanted to know all about her kids had a book signing recently. So we talked about the book signing. We talked about miscellaneous other things. There's been some developments behind the scenes in Marnie's case. And I don't actually know everything. I'm not kept abreast of every single thing that goes on in the case, but Marnie says it's all good. So we are waiting for the state's response from her filing. And then in Melissa's case, it's still just the waiting game on hers. But I got an email from her this morning. Hi, Tori. I got an email from Melissa this morning that she did finally get her tablet. And sorry, I refer to it as an iPad. Sorry, Android people. Just like I call a tissue a Kleenex. So those things happen, but it's not an iPad. She's not getting anything that expensive. But so she has a tablet now, and she's able to, the different things on there was she could get certain news that she could subscribe to, music, games, there are college courses she can take. But it's not like, you buy an app for your phone for, Pac-Man, dating myself, and then you just have that on your phone. No, they make them pay either weekly, monthly, whatever for these. It's a, constant charge, let's, take money from these inmates who can't have a real job, and you literally pay them pennies to do the work at the prison. So in looking it up, the way it's called at Melissa's prison is a trust fund, a trust. And so you could put money in her trust, and then she can then use that money. So it's her canteen or commissary, all this same stuff. So then she'd be able to take the money from that and then buy the subscriptions to whatever it is that she likes. Now, I had made a post today telling people that they could donate to the PayPal that I have set up, and then I would put it directly in Melissa's account. And then her dad, Paul, called me this morning and asked me to tell people to send it to his GoFundMe. So I'm not going to get in the middle of all that. So you could, and the reason I had said my PayPal is because I know there are people who don't want to take the time to set up an account on the prison and, have their credit information on there and all that stuff. So I thought this would be the easiest way. That then my plan was I would just keep it in the PayPal, and then once a week I would put it in Melissa's account on whatever came in, because y'all know I'm not good with numbers. And anytime you give money to an inmate, no matter how you do it, the prison takes a cut of it. So I'm assuming it's better if I don't make, little payments along the way, that it would just be, a once a week payment. I know Melissa has told me the depositing money directly into her trust is where they take the least amount of fees, because there's also a kiosk, like a ATM machine thing that's at the prison, and I can put cash in that way that goes directly on the account. But I guess they take more fees out when you do it in person as opposed to when you do it online. I don't know. I don't get it. So, but Melissa's very excited to have her tablet, and she really wants music. She's now a big country music fan, so she has a radio, but now she'll be able to get like specific artists or whatever. So I'm just happy for her that she's able to have another outlet. Melissa and Marnie both are people who try to keep to themselves. They don't, they're not out socializing. They don't want to get involved in any of the drama, so they stay in their rooms a lot. So it'll be nice for them to have the iPad now. And I think, they like engrave the name of the inmate or their number or something on the tablet. So, people can't just steal it from you easy, that it would be traced. So, Marnie hasn't been interested in getting one. So I don't know if that'll change now that they are available at Logan Correctional or not. So, Marnie is really confident that she's going to be sent back to county in a couple of months to get a new trial. So she's looking forward to that, even though both Melissa and Marnie have told me the county jail is tougher than the prison itself. But it's something different, and hopefully it's a means to an end that they'd be getting out soon thereafter. Marnie says it's one of the worst things she can think of is that she leaves Logan, because also then you lose your room and who you were rooming with and all that, and then you have to go back. So if it's denied and all that. I don't know for sure when they'd be sent to county, though, because I know both in Stephen and Brendan's cases, as these things go to court, they're not sent anywhere. They just stay in prison. They don't get to go. So I don't know if Marnie would be moved anywhere. Well, I guess you're only moved if you're granted the new trial, and Stephen and Brendan have never been granted the new trial, right? So that's where the difference comes in. Hello, Tanya. How am I? I'm tired. I've been working a whole lot, and now I'm going to yawn because I said that because I'm crazy. I've been working a whole lot at my haunted house, and then would have to be somewhere in the morning. So I was like on 4 hours sleep for several days in a row. And then unfortunately last night, since our haunted house thing, it's a haunted maze thing that's outdoors and we have it covered, but that's still not rainproof. And we got a big storm here last night, so we couldn't open. So Saturday I had to be somewhere that I was there at. I had to be there at 6:30 in the morning. And so I got home at like 9:30, and I then like slept all day yesterday, all night. I stayed in bed until like 9 o'clock today, until then Jeff and I went out to get things started for, we had to go to the haunted house and see what kind of rain damage there was and get that fixed. And knock on wood, there really wasn't any. And now Jeff was called into work. So I'm back here. So I'm like, all right, I'll go live. but they are calling for snow here by Halloween. So, and I said, if it snows, one of the nights our haunted maze is open, I am absolutely putting evil Santa in there. Because I'm twisted like that. Steven. So now we see yesterday that now I haven't really read anything. I haven't, when I'm on Facebook, I'm just like kind of checking my news feed and then I'm off. So I haven't really read too much on the whole Buting thing. So you guys probably know way more than I. But that looks to be very bad. That Sweaty Sweat Sweat posted a video on his Twitter of attorney client talking at the Calumet County Jail, right? And that's confidential. You can't film that. So that's pretty freaking crazy. Why? And from what I'm getting from it, then Sweaty is trying to claim like it's something that Buting did. Am I getting that correct? That he's trying to say that Buting was secretly taping it? I don't know. I don't know what kind of defense he could have for that, because it doesn't matter if Buting did have something to do with recording it. Why does Kratz have it? So does that mean they've watched every single time that Stephen talked to his lawyers? Okay, that's one. Then you go, did they do the same to Brendan? And then as the snowball keeps turning, has every person who's ever been in that jail, have you been recording their conversations with their lawyers so the state gets a heads up on whatever the defense is going to use in court? That's illegal. And so now with your slippery slope, everybody who has cycled through that jail could now say, did I get a fair trial? Did you record me talking with my lawyer? I don't understand why Sweaty would post that. I know I say he's a fucking idiot, but he's not a stupid man. This is just crazy to me. And then the other thing it says to me is this is more proof that Stephen is innocent. Because if Stephen has ever said anything ever that would make it out like he's guilty, Sweaty would show that. But you got nothing because Stephen has been consistent. Except for he wasn't sure what he was doing on Halloween. Did he have a fire? Was it the next day he had a fire? I don't blame him for that. It's not like Halloween is a big holiday for him. They live on a dead-end road. They're not getting trick-or-treaters. So it's not like you remember, oh yeah, on Halloween, blah, blah, blah. It's just any other day, So I don't blame him for going, did I have a fire that day? Was it the next day? Not sure if he had a fire or not. That's not a liar. That's you're asking me a week later what I did on a certain day. I don't know for sure. Anne says, haven't caught alive in ages. Kratz is just trying to make it into a big deal that Buting was recording Avery, trying to distract from the fact that he had a recording that shouldn't be there, the CCTV or whatever. And then Natasha says, there's so many reasons why it should have been determined a mistrial right from the get-go. I agree, Natasha. And Anne, yeah, but Buting has denied it, right? And Buting is kind of livid about the whole thing. But like you said, too, the bottom line is, I don't care who recorded it. Why does Kratz have it? And how much more did Kratz have? Buting's not going, hey, Sweaty, I recorded this. You want it? So that's just so beyond to me that literally my mouth dropped when I first saw it because Carol Ann Fitzgerald shared it in gossip. Thank you again, Carol Ann. Or sorry, she's got a new last name now that she's married, but I don't recall what it is. My apologies, but congratulations on the wedding. Because she submitted it here in gossip, and we have to approve the post. So I was the first one that had seen it, and my mouth literally drops, and it's like, what is this? How could you be that stupid? You can't have that. Attorneys they're supposed to share discovery and those kinds of things. You can't watch the whole meeting between an attorney and their client. Anne says there are 2 recordings. Buting was filming Stephen for his own reasons on a little handheld camera. The recording Kratz is in trouble for is the CCTV recording from a corner of the interview room. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with Buting recording the session to remember what Stephen said. Let me go into gossip on my other page here and find that recording. Let me keep scrolling. Oh, I'm surprised it's so far down. Okay. Let me click through this. All right, here it is. Let's watch it, or you listen to it with me as we watch this. It's 11 minutes. Okay. Or should I just fast forward to the thing? All that stuff. We just want to get to, okay.
Yeah. How old is he? 16. Oh. A poor kid. Yeah. I feel sorry for him. Yeah. Well, I got 2 lawyers on it, plus 3 more from the firm, so. Plus Laura. So they'll get the truth. I actually called the jail today to see if the next time I come visit you, I could bring a camera.
In late February 2006, the Calumet County Jail, and it's showing Buting across the table from Stephen.
He's very nice.
Okay, it says instituted a policy to deny use of
they would allow it, and he called
all videotaping in the jail.
The sheriff denied the request. So,
okay, so yeah, without Laura Riccardi being allowed to film inside the jail.
Because he was saying that he hasn't
the film she was making, now with the help of attorney Buting,
I'm not sure
would be far less dramatic without an interview from the jail.
Yeah. So maybe just across the board, they're denying people.
Why is it you're sitting in jail waiting for a verdict?
Some lawmakers are staying away from hosting public Q&A sessions, but a number of Republicans made an authority today.
Well,
Gallagher was the news to block for a second. It's great. For example, Shell Island DNC Senator Chuck Grassley held a town hall this morning.
Yeah, I didn't watch all this. It's one of the most exploitive moments ever to be captured on video.
Tough question. I start with try something easier. What has this trial been like for you? What kind of feelings have you had about this trial and what's going on?
Still wonder whose side the filmmakers were on? Whose idea was it for Buting to violate the jail rules? And important questions. If the jail policy is that an inmate should not be filmed, then why was Jay Buting left come into the jail with a camera? Surely his bag is checked when he comes in the jail. No, they don't really look at. I watch lawyers just sail right through in courthouses. Also, if they were monitoring the room for security purposes, then why did they not intervene and confiscate Buting's camera when he took it out of his bag? Correct. Hello, Elizabeth and Peggy. And continues, Kratz is deflecting. He's saying Buting was recording for making a murderer because they weren't allowed in to film Avery. Who gives a shit? Is my question. The important part is there was a secret CCTV camera in that room where there shouldn't be. Buting denied knowing that he was being recorded with his client in that room by that CCTV. And hello, Dondi. Oh, God.
Brendan's a liar.
Let's call Grandpa at 5:30 tomorrow.
So you don't know what it's for?
No, I don't.
You stick to your goddamn guns and say nothing happened. Yeah. They made me say all of this. Tell them that.
Yeah. Hold on.
And
Somebody's
stick to
walking
your
up.
guns.
Well, I mean, I called your family right away to tell them, you know, that we're sticking by you.
Oh yeah, I didn't do nothing.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Why would Brendan say all this stuff then? Because you let him. Huh? You let him talk to the cops all the time.
Hey, who is it?
Brendan.
Why did you fucking answer the phone? Why? He ain't paying the fucking bill.
did they give you any information about what's going on?
Well, I talked to Steve. He gave me some information.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. I try to learn your kids. Not the wrong way, the right way.
Just put it this way, I don't know who the fuck to believe anymore.
Well, goddammit, why don't you believe your brother?
Why wouldn't you go and murder Tracy because she wants to fuck you? So you had to murder her because she turned your ass down.
Yeah, I'm blaming it on the county.
I know.
They're trying to set me up. What else is there? You were supposed to train your kids not to talk to cops.
I don't train my kids, I raise them.
That's why Barbara should have a lawyer for them kids.
But she did do it, right?
Yeah. Don't go for a pre-bargain or this and that. Yeah. Because you do that, then you're hurting both of you guys. Yeah. You understand that, Brendan? Yeah.
I wouldn't plead guilty at all.
No.
Nope, I tell them that you're innocent.
All right, sorry about that, everybody. I was finally served my divorce summons. Dun, 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 dun. All right, I'll go over that later. So, all right, let me click off of this before it goes into the next thing on there. Petra says, why does KK have it? No idea. Anne says, so Kratz is in possession of a CCTV recording that shouldn't even exist in the first place. Reasonable expectation of attorney-client privacy. How the hell did he get it? Carrie says, ugh, this recording hurts my heart. Anne says, that's what people are celebrating about. Kratz is very much in trouble. The CCTV recording goes against Avery's constitutional rights, and Kratz somehow has it. And like the fool he is, he showed everyone. And I love that he puts in there the whole, now do you see that the filmmakers were one-sided? No, again, the filmmakers wanted to get everything. They wanted both sides, but they couldn't get it because the Hallback family did not want to work with the filmmakers, nor did the state. So you can't fault them for not having stuff that you refuse to give them. So they told the story the only way they could. Every time Sweaty and Mike Hallbach had press conferences, they recorded those and they showed those because that was the only option they had to show the other side. So they weren't fabricating evidence. They weren't doing anything. They were telling the story. So it's so stupid. Christopher says, hello, Jax. Have missed your lives. How are you? Hope you get some rest and relaxation in before the new week starts. Well, it said at the beginning of this, Christopher, I slept like all day yesterday. Oh my God, that chick that just served me my divorce is still in my driveway. Sharon says, maybe Steven can get out now. Knock on wood. So trying to point at Buting, saying Buting was doing something wrong for recording, whether or not he's wrong, that doesn't change the fact that you can't be recording an attorney and their client. Two wrongs don't make a right, but one of those wrongs is way worse. I mean, this is, I just can't believe that he posted that. He has to be high, right? I mean, he has to know. What an idiot. What a complete idiot. And this will also show how horrible that state is if you do nothing. But I've said it's this big, huge, slippery slope, because now if I had been in that jail, I would be demanding to know if they recorded my conversations with my attorney. You know, so now does it mean actual guilty people will be able to show that they did not get a fair trial because you were recording them talking with their attorney and strategizing for the case? Anne says, the bit with Buting is at 5:05 in the video. Not sure you had it on yet. Tanya says, the plot thickens. Let me see. Should I go back into it? It's still that same video? Let me go back into it. I'll go to 5:05. Go. Why aren't you fast forwarding it?
If the next time I come visit you, I could bring a camera and
yeah, I did see that, Anne, that he's putting,
she's very nice.
getting the camera out of his bag. Buting is
confident that they would allow it, but then he called later today to say that he's spoken to the sheriff and the sheriff denied the request. So I don't know.
He always denies everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he was saying that he hasn't been allowing the media to come, so he said it wouldn't be fair to let us in, but you know, I'm not sure when the media was there last.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah. So maybe just across the board, they're denying people.
Why is he here? Sitting in jail waiting for a verdict.
Some lawmakers are staying away from hosting public Q&A sessions, but a number of Republicans today.
Well,
Gallagher with the news and law enforcement. right? For example, Iowa GOP Senator Chuck Grassley held a town hall this morning in Iowa Falls because the Des Moines Register called raucous and sweaty with a lot of cheering, and interruptions. There was
I don't know how to answer it.
Obamacare, guns,
Yeah, that's kind of a tough question.
yeah,
I start with try something easier. What has this trial been like for you? Kind of feelings have you had
So
about this
how does
trial?
Kratz have both the CCTV recording and Buting's recording? I don't know, Petra, if Stephen ever complained about thinking he was being secretly taped. Carrie says, exactly. How many other people have had this happen to them? Tara says, or he has an extremely guilty conscience and it leaking this stuff under the guise of trying to expose the corruption. It's a stretch, but a possibility. Anne says, Petra, yes, and the state appointed an investigator who found no evidence of any wrongdoing, so Stephen's complaint was dismissed. Interesting. Ugh, I don't like seeing a picture of Len Kaczynski. Okay, here he's talking about Brendan, and he keeps making it out like his plea bargain thing was the most awesomest thing ever. And then trying to, so I know he plays a phone call between Brendan and his grandfather, or I don't know if where Al is telling him to keep his mouth shut, just say the same, because Al is pissed. Don't talk to anybody. That's not saying anything negative. That
a liar.
We'll call Grandpa 5:30.
Okay, and Stephen saying Brendan's a liar. Yes, obviously there's times he's pissed at Brendan for making up these lies. Wouldn't you be? He's a kid and he's got a low IQ, but Stephen is there because of what Brendan said. So you're going to be pissed.
Your family right away to tell them, that we're sticking by you.
Yeah, I didn't do nothing.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Why would Brendan say all this stuff then?
Because you let him.
Huh?
You let him talk to the cops all the time.
Nothing wrong with that either. You let him talk to the cops. Cops are getting him to say stuff.
Why? He ain't paying the fucking bill.
Shut up, Scott.
did they give you any information about what's going on?
Well, I talked to Steve. He gave me some information.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I try to learn your kids. Not the wrong way, the right way.
Just put it this way, I don't know who the fuck to believe anymore.
But goddammit, why don't you believe your brother?
Why wouldn't you go and murder Tracy because she wants to fuck you? So you had to murder her because she turned your ass down.
Yeah, I'm blaming it on the county.
I know.
They're trying to set me up. What else is there?
You were supposed to train your kids not to talk to cops.
I don't train my kids, I raise them.
That's why Barbara should have a lawyer. Drug kids.
But he did do it, right?
Yeah. Don't go for a pre-bargain or this and that. Yeah. Because you do that, then you're hurting both of you guys. Yeah. You understand that?
Nothing wrong with that.
I wouldn't plead guilty at all.
No.
I tell him that you're innocent.
I am not a practicing attorney, nor do I hold myself out to be. All photos available as open source. The opinions expressed in this video are mine alone. All right, so watching that stupidity again. Stephen has every right to be pissed off at Brendan. Brendan lied. And in Brendan lying, it got Stephen convicted. Yes, Brendan has a low IQ. Stephen's is lower. All right, so Stephen's not the brightest bulb either, but I'd be pissed too. And then that's what Alan is saying. And also Barb had said it to Brendan. If you're innocent, don't plea. If you did it, take the deal. Al being pissed, saying if Brendan takes that plea, it screws both of them. That's true too. That's not something against Brendan. That's common sense. You do that, it takes you both down. So, but Kratz doing this, oh, I was the good guy. I was only going to get it so he'd serve 15 years. Shut up. You're the one that made all this shit up, your own sexual fantasies about what was done to Teresa Hallback. That you claim that Stephen or that Brendan said. It's ridiculous. Tara says, I have a feeling Kratz wants Stephen to go back to trial to get back in the limelight. Yeah, I bet you he'll try and get in the courtroom every day. That's for sure. And if there's a bank of reporters outside, he's going to stroll up there and try and talk to everybody and claim, oh, they wanted me to. Anne says, I don't think so, Tara. I think Kratz is starting to throw other people under the bus. Pago, who was in charge of that prison, would be responsible for illegal recordings made in there. Tara says, Kratz's ego is extremely big. I can see him try to get even more infamous. Yeah. Anne says, he has been asked multiple times where he got that recording. Hasn't been on since. Although I see he's telling someone on Twitter 5 hours ago to stop following him. Nothing on the CCTV recording. Carrie says, what does KZ say about this? There's been nothing from Kathleen as far as I know. This stuff just came out like really late Friday night or early Saturday morning. So I'm sure we'll be hearing stuff about it this week, and that I'm sure there'll be articles written about it too and stuff. But I'm just blown away by Kratz's stupidity in because he and Buting are always in constant competition over who can get the most press, let's be honest. And I know Stephen hates Buting. Stephen really believes Buting had something to do with him being found guilty. He thinks Buting was working with somebody. He doesn't like him, and he doesn't like that he had told Buting a whole bunch of different things to do in his case, and Buting didn't listen to him. So Stephen hates Buting with a passion. And I'm sure this won't make it any better. But then again, Stephen knew Buting was recording him. It was that obvious. So, but it doesn't matter what Buting did. Like I said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And 1 wrong is definitely worse. You can't watch an attorney and their client discuss strategy for the case. You can't. Natalie says, I think in some twisted way, KK does feel guilty about Brendan, and he has said he should be freed, not that he's innocent, but that he should be freed. I don't think he feels the same about Stephen, but can't fathom why he's posted this as it helps their case. What do you think KZ will do with this now? Well, Natalie, first, Sweaty tricked people into thinking that he thought Brendan should be free. What he really means was, I was this great guy that offered him this 15-year deal, and if he had just taken my deal, he'd be free. That's what he's not saying. He should be free like he's innocent. He's saying, had he listened to me and taken my deal, he'd be getting out soon. That's what he's saying on that. I don't know what Kathleen's going to do. I can't wait to see her tweet on it. I can't wait. You know it's got to be coming. So, I don't know if this is something she's got, now she has to file something else. Not a lawyer, don't know how this works, but you absolutely would want to add this in there. Let me scroll. Tara says, Buting is pissed though. Yeah, I've seen that. Maureen says, this is explosive. I think so. This should be major. Sharon says, they probably wouldn't be in there if Barb would have stopped them from talking to Brendan alone. And sadly, she had the opportunity to do that, and she chose not to. She listened to them when they said, oh, it would be better if you didn't go in there. And instead, she sat in the hallway. Anne says, I'm the same. Can't wait for KZ's reaction to this. And it's going to be brilliant. She's so in your face. So, Kratz is just so slimy. He's no match for her whatsoever. And, I think it should not only get him a new trial, he should be able to be released until the new trial. If they won't do on his own recognizance, the people will donate for his bail to get him out. So he shouldn't have to sit in there another second waiting for a new trial. Maybe if you let him out while you're waiting for it, you won't dick around so long to get shit done. Because as long as he's in there, they're going to drag their feet on everything to try and keep him in there as long as they can. Let him out. I don't know, Petra, what Barb's IQ is. None of the Avery kids are smart. They're all low IQ. Anybody else? Anne says, some people have suggested that this could be a way out of trouble for them too if Stephen was released on this technicality. It would mean no need for retrial, and therefore state law enforcement and Kratz could get away with less hassle. Interesting. Yeah, I could see that. Excellent point. Carrie says, yes, let him out. Matthew says, still mind-blowing that them two are still in prison. KK and the police department are so corrupted, these two should get a new trial or just let them free. Yeah, this case really does make it so you lose all faith in the criminal justice system. Natalie says, who should be shaking in their boots who worked at the jail? Who all knew about this? Who set up the cameras? If I was KK, I'd be careful about revenge and them coming after him for fear he is exposing them now. Excellent point, too, because that Manitowoc, just seems to do whatever they want. Maureen says, can she make Ryan Hilgas and Scott Blodorn take the stand? Yeah, she would subpoena them as witnesses, right? Because they are witnesses. Let's see, anything else up here? No. So that's the big blowaway news for Stephen. And then for Brendan, his petition is really picking up with celebrities pushing it around and celebrities reaching out to Governor Evers. So hopefully that will be good for Brendan, and Brendan will be freed too. The only thing I worry at this point with these two big major developments is I don't want people to forget that Scott and Bobby killed Teresa Hallback and are still roaming free. and that Barb sat by while Brendan and Stephen were in prison and did nothing. You know, so if these things happen that, you know, Brendan gets pardoned and Stephen is released and then they don't retry him, you know, law enforcement isn't going to look for the real killers. You know, it'll be like in the OJ sense. I'm going to spend all my time looking for the real killer. Sure you are. So that means Scott and Bobby get away with it. And Teresa's killer is not brought to justice. And when Kratz claims to care about Teresa and the Hallback family, shouldn't you care about bringing her real killers to justice? Tori says, KK will bring everyone down with him, just so long as he goes down. Julie says, if let out on a technicality, that would eliminate his chance of any lawsuit against the state county. Correct. Well, Stephen would have that they recorded his attorney-client privilege. Brendan will not be able to. But at the end of the day, your freedom is more important than getting handed millions of dollars. I mean, who doesn't want millions of dollars? But if I have to take being broke and free, you know, aren't you going to take that over staying in prison and hoping that this corrupt system that puts you there to begin with will be found guilty? I would want to take that risk. Maureen says, I can't wait to hear Kratz at trial. Kratz can only be there as an audience member. And if he's called to the stand, that's the only way Kratz will be there. Maureen says, will KZ be able to access the RAV? I believe the RAV is gone. That's my personal opinion. Just like they got rid of the gravel pit bones. I think they got rid of the RAV. That's why they won't give it to Kathleen. Because they have to get rid of anything that would overturn. And they know if Kathleen gets her hands on that vehicle, she'll be able to have even more evidence to prove that Stephen was framed. And she'd have the opportunity to find other people's DNA on there. So, 10 more minutes. I will get off here in 10 minutes. Any other questions y'all have? What else is... Oh, see, now I'm tired. I don't know why I'm tired after sleeping like all day yesterday. Lonnie says, I don't think the blood in the RAV4 was his blood. That's why it's gone. Plus, there was male DNA on the vehicle that they just knew wasn't Stephen or Brendan's, and they never looked into whose it actually was. So, yeah. Anne says, I just remembered as well, someone on Twitter said the reason Sweaty is saying that stuff about Brendan is that he knows Brendan has a big chance to be let out by Evers. He wants to be first, so to speak. Ugh, gross. This would be huge if Evers released Brendan. I don't know where Wisconsin sits politically currently. You know, if this will hurt him being reelected or not. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody from Wisconsin could let us know the answer to that. Maureen says, that's another violation then? So many violations, yeah. Natalie says, a lot of people who work at that jail should be scared, and there will be a queue of lawyers whose clients were there at the same time questioning if they were being illegally recorded. What? Out for another burn barrel, burning all the tapes. Sharon says, why hasn't KZ ever asked to see and test the RAV4, or has she? She actually has an agreement with the state that she can test a RAV, but they just don't give it to her. I don't know why they can deny it, but she wants it, they deny it. Matthew says, just hope the both of them get free before Stephen's father and mother pass away. So sad to see how much they are hurting and how much stress it's put on them too. God love them. That's the biggest tragedy here, that they lost Stephen for 18 years, get him back for 2, and then they take him again. They're not in good health. So every day that passes makes it one less day that they would have the opportunity to be reunited. And they can't visit Stephen very much because of their medical ailments. It's hard to drive there, and it's hard to walk through the prison or to get through the prison in Dolores's case in the chair. And, plus the family is always fighting with each other, and none of them care about Al and Dolores unless they need them for press. That they want to wheel Dolores around and get her for a photo op so it makes them look like they care. Other than that, they just leave Dolores to rot. So Stephen is the only one that cares about the parents. Maureen says, how long do you think forever's? I can't give you a time frame on that, Maureen, because there is no set time frame. So, it could be another year. I wouldn't think so. I don't know this guy at all. So so he may be somebody, the more celebrities that come out and say that he should pardon him could make him more upset, going, I'm not listening to these movie stars. I'm here in Wisconsin. I don't care about what a movie star says about this legal case, and just upset him and make him dig down further that he's not going to overturn this. It could hurt or it could help. Derek says, new glasses, nice. They're awful. I didn't wear them for like the last almost week. I can't see. I'm going to end up having to go back and tell them that these things are horrible, that, since it's that transitional lens, so it's like from here down, everything is blurry and I can't see. And it's like everything is underwater and I hate it. So Nandi says, this whole situation is just so sad. I feel so bad for Stephen's parents and all the corruption in this world. I do too. Sharon says, I thought both sides of attorneys have the right to all evidence. How can they deny her of that right? It's fucked up. I agree. I don't get how they can't turn that, or how they can get away with not turning that over. She should be able to test that. But that was in the agreement as well as those bones that they gave to the Hallback family in 2011. So they don't care, and they get away with it. Further showing the corruption in Calumet County and Manitowoc County. Anybody else? Nobody else. We got 3 minutes left. Ending this at 2:30. I will have been on for almost an hour. We should hear something this week on Kathleen's response to Kratz posting that illegal recording. Unless she doesn't know, but she has to know, because she's got her people everywhere. I know there's people, she's got people in this group, they're in every Making a Murderer group, and this is not me being paranoid, I just know. An example I'll use on that was I had my personal profile picture, a picture of Melissa, and then I had a frame that said something political on it. And with not long after I had that posted, I was then notified that Kathleen wanted me to have the political frame taken off because she didn't want Melissa associated with anything political. So, and I was like, ooh, I'm being watched. So she's got people everywhere. When's your next one? When's my next what? Live? I don't know for sure. Because I've got my haunted house currently. So that's every night this week. Saturday is my last night of my haunted house. And I'll be gone all day tomorrow. I think the rest of the week I'm pretty open during the day. So if we get anything from either the state responding early to Stephen or Kathleen or saying something about these recordings or something develops, I'll probably hop on during a day. But I won't know until the stuff comes out. Sharon says, yes, it is. If Stephen gets out, he needs to get the hell out of Dodge. Yeah. Julie, how's the haunted house going? Well, big bummer. It rained here last night, so we couldn't open since it's outside. So, and last night would have been a big crowd. But I've been having fun. So we were open Thursday and Friday night. So been having fun scaring people. And I got to be there at 7 tonight. Derek says, so crooked. It's the same. They're doing to Donald Trump. Be nice if he could help. He can't because this is a state case. It's not federal. So, it can only be handled on the state level. Linda says, thanks again. Oh, you're welcome, Linda. In Scotland. Petra says, there was a case similar to this about secret recordings in prison, and it was a huge deal. Need to look into it, though. Okay, yeah. I mean, because the way our stupid system works is there always has to be precedence for everything. So, yeah, if there's something on that and people got busted for it, that will only help Stephen. Anne says, like you said, Jax, I wonder how KZ is going to go about it. She's going to file something separate for that at this stage. Is it going to delay the latest brief's response from the state? Well, didn't we have something on that before, too, where she had something else, and so she was told she had to either cancel the current thing and then start from scratch, or she had to file something separate to be in tandem with the other. Wasn't that how it went? But I don't know. I'm horrible at that. Natalie says, have any of the news or press picked this up and reported it yet? Not that I have seen. But that's what happens when something is dropped on a Saturday. So I think we'll hear something on it, Monday, Tuesday. Because this is just a pretty big deal. I think, right? It has to be. This has to be a huge deal. It's so illegal. So, all right. I've been on an hour now, so I'm going to end for today. Please, anytime, if you see news saying that they talk about this, or you see that Kathleen tweets, please submit it into gossip, and we'll approve like the first one, when stuff like this happens, we'll have a whole bunch of people at the same time all submit it, and we don't want to fill up the news feed all with the same exact thing. But then there'll be times like if somebody comes across that same article like 3 or 4 days later and they submit it, we'll approve that because it's just a way to bump something back to the top, and people may not have seen it when it originally came out. Shelley says, what happened? Well, I'm ending this now. You'll be able to start it over and hear all about it. Carrie says, I'm just happy Sweaty Sweat Sweat has a big mouth. Yeah, big sweaty mouth. Julie says, the 2015 filing about the secret filming between Stephen and Buting was shot down and procedurally barred because it wasn't proven. Now that it is, can that ban be overturned? I don't know, but something needs to happen. Natalie says, exactly. That's why you'd think the press would be all over it. And Ann says, thanks for the live, Jax. And thank you for the 40 of you who came on while I rambled away. So have a great rest of your Sunday. And we'll talk sometime this week whenever more stuff comes out on this. See ya.